Welcome to another episode of the Power Pit podcast. Today I'm excited to have Caval Olson-Lepage on the show. She is a certified financial planner and she's been a client of mine for about 6 years now. With that, Caval loves to read. She also loves to go camping and hiking and traveling the world, and I'm really excited to have her on the show today. So, thanks for being here, Caval.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Awesome. So, let's dive into things.
Okay.
I want people to get to know you, so let's talk about where your whole fitness journey started, and let's go from there.
Okay, sounds good. So, I think, when I reflect on my fitness journey, I think about, growing up, I was a very active child. I was, always playing volleyball or softball, in the high school years. It was more into, cheerleading, always just staying very, very active. But then as I left that, world or realm area of my life and you start working full time and then you get, eventually you get married and you have a kid, fitness really took a back seat to what I was doing. And I didn't feel like I had the time. You finally get to that point when you're, everything starts to creep up and now your metabolism doesn't work as fast as it used to. And when I was doing activities like joining a slow pitch team later on, I was succumbing to injuries a lot more. But I really didn't know how to start. I would buy the gym membership every once in a while, especially on the New Year's Day sale and that sort of thing. But I couldn't find that I could get myself dedicated to go on a regular basis, that I could see the results I wanted. And not only that, I don't think I really knew what I was looking for. I had seen other personal trainer packages and stuff like that, and it always seemed like something that was out of reach for me when it came to a financial perspective. And I was always kind of well, I can do it on my own. I don't need the help. I'm an intelligent person. I feel like I could make my own plan, but you do it for a couple of weeks and then it falls off.
Typical client.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I met you and, you really changed my perspective on what it means to work with a personal trainer. And it's, yes, there's a cost, but you were able to really show me the value of how that impacted me and my fitness journey. And now, I'm really proud to say that I go 3 to 4 times a week. I've seen a change in my fitness. I've seen a change in my health. And it's to the point now where, I'm able to keep up to things that my teenage son wants to do and my husband. So that's kind of my fitness origin story, I guess you could say.
And that's exactly what it's really all about especially when it comes to a lifestyle client. It's lifestyle. It's keeping up with your teenage son, keeping up with life and the things that you need to do. Over our time together, we've worked on a lot of different aspects of health and fitness to also just get to that point where it's you can be active, you can do the things you love, and keep up with your son.
Absolutely. And I think a big part too on that journey was I would go to the gym and I would, use various different machines or try to lift weights, and I'd be like, is this really what I want to do? I'd try class and I'd be like, I don't know if this is me. So what I really appreciated with working with yourself is not only did you take me through a really in-depth goal discovery process to find out exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to get out of these sessions, but we tried so many different things. It wasn't just heavy weightlifting. It wasn't just a HIIT program. It was, the introduction to mace, which is now pretty much the love of my life. So,
and that's exactly where I was gonna go next was making fitness fun, right? And for us, I still remember when you were talking, or when I started mace, and you're like, "What is that? You're swinging a big club around, right?" And what is that? But then it also related to your love of reading.
Yes.
Right. So talk to us a little bit about mace and how you got into that and why you got started.
Yeah, that's such a weird connection, but such a good connection. So, as you stated, one of the biggest things that I'm passionate about is reading. And I am huge fantasy novel reader. And so there are a couple of series that I read, and one of them involves these female Valkyries. And so I'm actually also Norwegian. So I really connect with that storyline and the myth of the Valkyries and these female warriors. And so they would fight, and they'd fight with things like broadswords and daggers and shields and that sort of thing. And so when you and I were talking about it and you were kind of talking about mace, and you were just like, this actually connects because the way the mace is designed, it's similar to, especially the mace flow, similar to replicating different fights and battles and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've been working on that now, and it's been going really well. You know, that the mace class is growing here in Saskatoon, which is awesome. And now we're starting to get some of those intermediate classes, so we can start getting to that next level. But I want to go back to that, where it was just about making fitness fun.
Yes.
And I think that that's something for our viewers, is to really, really remember, like, it doesn't have to be so dogmatic and hard. And if you don't know where to start, you don't have to make it hard. You know, you just need to find something. Like, what do you enjoy doing when it comes to moving your body? I know not everyone even likes moving their body. I get that. So sometimes that might make it harder, but it's finding something that you just really enjoy or you can connect with. The other thing you had said was about goals, right? And, you know, how we had went into some in-depth goals and really got to the why behind things. So it wasn't just like, you know, I need to lose weight, gain muscle, move body. It was like we really dove into things onto a deeper level. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that. So when we were really picking at those goals and really digging out, what exactly would you say your why is, and how did we get there? Do you remember?
Yeah, no, really great question. And I think the why has changed a few times over our time together. But in the very beginning, a lot of it was that I was succumbing to a lot of injuries, especially with ball. And so what I was really looking for, like you said, there was a portion that was like, you know, I'd like to lose a little bit of weight. It's kind of hard to run the bases. My cardio wasn't that great. But it was also, you know, I tore a calf muscle running from first to second. And it was like, how do we get my body in the place where not only can we prevent these injuries from happening, but how do I get faster? How do I, you know, hit the ball farther? So on and so forth. And so I think, you know, in the beginning, it was very sport related. But that actually changed because started having different goals for different things I wanted to accomplish. And it really related to how I spent time with my family. And so, as you mentioned, we're a big camping family, but we really got into hiking and hiking in the mountains. And so it became my goal to hit certain hikes. And as you know, it can have like different terrain, different like steepness, that sort of thing. So it's not just, you know, as I said, you know, running the bases sort of thing and getting that type of cardio. It's a different type of cardio you need for hiking in the mountains. And so we were able to shift that goal focus. And that's what I really appreciated. It's like anytime I came in, I'm like, no, like I liked what we were doing, but now I want to focus on this. You're like, okay, let's switch up the program. We'll get you there. Right. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So are we going to do a Spartan together or what?
You know, we've been talking about it and I'm debating. I'm debating. As long as you can help me. It's those upper body hanging ones, right? You know, my love of pull-ups. It's not there.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something that we could look at in the future for a goal, and I think it would be an awesome accomplishment. I want to do one personally, so maybe there's some selfish reasons there as well.
Yes.
I want someone to go along with me. But let's dive into those goals now. So you had those past goals. Let's talk a little bit about your future goals.
Yeah. You know, part of it again is continuing to build strength. You know, actually, just over a year ago, my son was actually diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so a lot of my kind of health goals is learning more, not just about, you know, how food plays into different sugar levels and stuff like that, but even the impact that fitness and exercise has on stabilizing those sugar levels. And while it seems, you know, geared more towards my son, it's actually, you know, something that I've really taken into consideration. Like, if this is affecting him this much, how much is it affecting me when I don't have that exercise and fitness? And how does it, you know, how does it impact how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis? Because I know that sometimes when it's really hard to get to the gym and do the workout, because we all have those days, I always feel 10 times better after the workout, even if I don't feel that way necessarily going into it. And so one of the goals is just to really continue putting fitness in the forefront because of how it affects, you know, not just your physical health, but your mental health, but also how I can be a good role model for my son who is, you know, learning to live with this new diagnosis as well. But then, of course, also the fun things. I've got a couple more mountains I want to climb and potentially a Spartan race to run. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I think that that's something that people can relate to is, you know, a lot of people that I've talked to, we start off with goal A, and then as life progresses, we get to goal Z, whatever it is, along the whole way, and really build off of those things. And I really like what you talk about, like being the role model as a parent, right? And I think that that's something that we all strive to do as parents, but sometimes we're not sure where to start. And it's like, I think it's boiling it down to just some of those simple things of showcasing the healthy lifestyle eating, how to respond healthy in a relationship, how to interact with others, in whether it be in a work situation or a home situation or out in public. And there's so much more. Like that could be a whole podcast of itself.
Yeah.
But it's like bringing it back to the health and fitness is, I know for myself, there's things where I'm like, but more so just like things I could have implemented when I was younger, or that, if I had saw people modeling this for me, where things might have changed. Because again, even with me, and this is where we can relate on the fact, with your son having type 1 diabetes and me having type 2, they're different, but but there are some overlaps and some similarities, and how much diet and exercise has played into that. And that was something that I didn't realize when I was younger.
Yeah.
Right. Of how much that can affect things and how much that can change things. And then as I hopefully get wiser, I'm definitely getting older, but as I hopefully get wiser as well, it's realizing how much like diet and exercise can affect mood and hormones and physiology and all of those things. Because those are things that change as we get older too.
Yes. I still, like, to this day, I mean, teenagers can be grouchy no matter what, but when he's incredibly grouchy, it's kind of like, have you checked your sugar level? Like, where are we at? Do you need to, and to your point, when you talk about type 1 and type 2, they're different in the sense of like an insulin dependency, but a lot of people think that, or don't really realize that diet and exercise still has a significant impact on type 1. For example, over the Christmas holidays, we were definitely not eating how we normally eat. You've got a lot more treats. You've got a lot more kind of appetizer style diet, deep fried foods.
Yep.
And it was really hard to stabilize him. And I was like, if this is what's happening to his body, like, how is it impacting mine? And how hard is my pancreas working to keep up, right? And I don't have that shot of insulin that can help just do it and that sort of thing. So very eye-opening. And it just, again, makes you really aware of the impact that health and fitness has, right?
Absolutely. And what you hit on there is a conversation that I've had with people over many years, where it would be things where I would, sometimes I would indulge, have a little piece of cake or a little this or that. And right away, oh, you're diabetic. Should you be having that? And it's one of those questions, I'm like, on the bigger picture, should any of us really be eating it?
Yeah.
On the health side of things, it's like, sure, there's the fact that it's like food also interacts with us in family dynamics and friendship dynamics and community. So there is that health aspect to it, and enjoying a piece of cake or dessert with friends and family is a good thing. But on the flip side, it's like you said, it increases, it affects the insulin release, it affects all of that. And even if you don't have diabetes, it's like your body is just naturally doing what we're synthetically doing.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, so if we synthetically have to do it here, and you naturally do it here, well, is that not affecting us in similar ways? And a lot of times I don't think we think in those aspects. It's just like, oh, I'm healthy, I'm good. And not saying that, they're not trying to demonize having any treats, because I encourage that, and
yes,
when we break things down, it's like it's how do you still involve those things you enjoy. But yeah, I think that's something that is an important thing to know.
Yes. And that's and like you said, working with you has been about finding the balance to, what works for you on a fitness routine, but also a nutrition routine. And how do you, still enjoy those treats? And, like you said, sharing food and that sort of thing it's also a friend, it's a community, it's an experience, right? And you don't want the guilt associated with that because you had that slice of cake. And so that's one of the things really appreciate about you, and finding that balance, because it shouldn't all be a sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And sacrifice comes, but again, you got to enjoy life.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
We're we're human, and we need to have that interaction and that fun too. So I want to dive a little bit more. We haven't talked about it too much yet. We've talked about how things had affected Ethan and how, that made you think about yourself. I wanted to dive into a little bit about fitness and the effects of mental health.
Okay.
Are you open to talk about a few of your experiences there?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So one of the things, so I am somebody who has seasonal affective disorder. So winters and darkness, and why I live in Saskatchewan is a question I ask myself every day, especially during these darker months. So what it's very easy for me to almost, go inside myself and just like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't necessarily want or have the motivation to get myself to the gym. Like, it can be a real significant struggle. And so this was, when I talked about my origin story, one of the issues I had with keeping myself consistent and going to the gym, because it was very easy to fall into, I'm not feeling that great, so I just won't go. And so what I have found, working with you, whether it's been in the one-on-one, whether it's been in the group classes, it's created this community and this accountability for me, because I'm showing up not just for myself, but for other people, because it's such a motivating piece. And as I stated before, I may not necessarily feel the motivation to get there or feel like doing the workout, but by the time I'm done, 10 times better. Right. And then I can leave and it feels like a weight's been lifted off of my shoulder. I feel like I've, held true to myself for, setting a goal and feeling like I accomplished things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And so as far as, things kind of go with that and with those, the community and the group classes, what do you think really helps you, stay accountable? Is it just the community? Is it the session times? Is it the enjoyment? What helps keep you accountable there?
Oh, I think it's all of it.
Yeah.
One of the things, like when I'm part of the women's power hour classes, one of the things that I love is that I'm there with anywhere from 3 other women to 6 other women, all in various different levels of their fitness journey, and we're all supporting each other. Like when you hit that new weight zone, or maybe you did struggle through an exercise, and we're getting high fives after, and it just feels good. I also work from home the majority of the time. Like, I do go into the office a couple of times, but 75% of my week is at home. And so it's a way to be social, right? It's a way to see other people. But you also get missed if you're not there, right? So like the next time you show up, they're like, where were you? Like, why didn't you come to class? We missed you. And so that has really helped, because I feel like I'm not just showing up for myself, but I'm showing up for them. And they want me to be there to cheer them on and support them as well. So
absolutely. So it's kind of just all those puzzle pieces that fit together to keep you accountable.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
You mentioned work, and I know that's something where with a lot of people, you've got a son at home, husband at home, they keep you busy when you're not working, right? And then you've got your work on top of that, because you're a manager, manager of wealth services, right?
Yeah.
At Innovation Wealth.
Yes.
Yeah. And so obviously that's going to keep you busy, because you're managing, right? And then you're at home and you've got all of that. How do you balance those things with your health and your fitness?
So I'm very, very, I live or die by my calendar. This is just, if it's not in my calendar, I'm probably not showing up. So, and I think actually, one of my good friends, Kara, she's also a client of yours. Like, when we make plans, she can't wait for my calendar invite. But anyways, I digress. So I make sure, like, every Sunday, as part of my routine, is I look at my week ahead and I'm planning out how I'm getting my fitness or my movement in. Having classes already scheduled helps. I usually plan those a month ahead of time, depending on my work schedule, because I do travel quite a bit with work. But it's just my way of, if it's in my calendar, I can commit. I've made a plan, I'm going, right? So whether that involves your classes or whether that involves me just like getting on my elliptical for 30 minutes for the day, or, it seems silly, but I even put in walking my dog at lunch in my calendar, right? Because it just tells me this is what I need to do. Because as you said, when you're at work and you're managing a team, like, my calendar is my life, right? And that helps dictate. And also the piece to that with the balance is I find that when you've had a long maybe a bit more stressful day. I know you've been a manager before. You're also, I mean, you own your own business, but in the world of corporations and being a manager, some days aren't that great. And it's really heavy. And I think that, being able to be like, you know what? No, I plan I'm going to do my elliptical, or I have that class, at 6:30 at night. It's a stress relief. Like I'm able to just let go of what my day was, swing that mace, maybe pretend I'm letting out some aggression there.
Yeah.
And, it feels great. So for me, it's all about planning.
Awesome. I think that planning, is a big aspect that often gets overlooked. Like you said, you even plan walking your dog.
Yeah.
And I think that's because if it's written down, it can become really important. And, it's right there in front of you. You remember it. It's a lot harder for it to slide by. It's a lot harder to push it off. Not that it can't be, but it is harder. And it's one of those things where it also, I think, creates a mind shift, right? Where it's not just, oh, I have to do this today. But it's like, oh no, this is something I'm going to do, want to do, planned in my day. And it creates that accountability to yourself. So we've already talked about the accountability to a community and friends and family and that sort of thing. But one thing that gets overlooked, and whether it's busy dads, busy moms, is a lot of times we're give, and managers on top of that, it's give to our team. That we end up getting depleted. So if we don't schedule those things and be accountable to ourselves, that can really affect our lives. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
100%. And I actually have little check boxes beside where I've written it in my calendar, so that at the end of the day, I can check it off and I can be like, yes, I held true to myself. I accomplished that. I'm really proud. Right. And I can look back and I'm like, oh, I did it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't help but see a correlation here too, between fitness and finance.
Yes.
Because in fitness, it's just, you've got the goals, you've got your schedules, you've got your stuff, and you're checking them off, and you get that little rush of completing things and reaching those goals or PRs. Well, some of that does relate to finance as well, and we've had those conversations in the past. How do you find fitness has helped when it comes to finance, or how do you think they relate?
I mean, there's a lot of similarities between, when you and I sat down to do our fitness goals, right? Yep. It's about goal setting. It's about planning. It's scheduling in. It's, budgeting in the sense of whether it's, budgeting kind of that nutrition, or, figuring out, exactly how much weights you need to lift, and yep. How much cardio you need to put in, or how much protein. I don't think I'll ever eat enough protein. I try so hard. But I think that correlates to finance in the sense that it's very similar to how we do a financial plan for somebody, yeah. Right? So it's about goal setting. What are your actual goals? It's how do we create that savings plan so you can achieve those goals? Just like how do you create that fitness routine so that you can achieve your fitness goals? It's about, doing those check-ins, having that accountability person. One of the biggest things that I found is I was trying to do fitness by myself for so long, and I was struggling, and I was, why? Right? And then I found you, and I didn't have to struggle. Not saying that you didn't make me lift really hard weights.
Oh, there were some struggles.
Yeah, but
there were some struggles,
for
sure.
But in that, I had you as my motivator, right? And that's also, what happens when you work with a financial planner, right? And there's a correlation. So besides being a financial planner and manager at Innovation Wealth, I'm also an ambassador for FP Canada, which is a financial planning organization that's trying to help people or secure financial plans for all Canadians. And it's because you don't have to struggle. You don't have to do it alone. And what we found is that just like fitness has an impact on your mental health, so do good finances, right? And the more people who have that financial plan, who have that accountability partner, who are more aware of that, have better mental health. They have less stress. Yeah. And so when you combine the two, you think about the fact that fitness helps you with your stress levels. But, earlier I'd mentioned I didn't think I could afford it. Yep. Right. So then how does working that into your financial plan to make sure that you have the adequate budget to be able to go to the gym, to get those classes, whatever is going to help make you happy on your health journey as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a common question, or a common statement, I should say, is, I really want to, but I can't afford it. And there are other things that lower that barrier to entry. Even just getting out and walking, getting out, and even if it's a class, because I know sometimes like, oh well, if I don't have perfect form, I don't want to do it. It's like in the beginning, even just moving your body is going to help reduce that stress. And I think those two things tie in, right? And it's like saving up for fitness. Like if you want to do this class that you really like, or you want to get a personal trainer to help support you, looking at your budget and putting those in are going to be really important. And, I think we'll talk about this further another time, but that goes into nutrition as well, right? Because when I talk with clients about nutrition, we use the word budget too, to really figure out where it's at. Not to be restrictive, but to be like, well, what do you really want to get out of this so you can enjoy the community, right?
Yes.
The atmosphere, the sharing and breaking of bread with friends and family, versus also feeling good, being healthy, reducing those levels of stress. And, I think that's something that we need to talk more about.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is going to go into another podcast, I think, here where we really dive into some of these similarities and how, reducing the stress with finance and reducing the stress with fitness can get to that overall life. And I think that goes hand in hand with work too, right? If you're at a job that you don't enjoy, you need to figure out how you adapt, how you shift so that you either can enjoy that job or maybe find a new one.
Yeah.
But and get those balances so that you can live that fulfilling life that you're trying to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. So, I think there's so much more that we could talk about here.
Yeah.
That we could dive into. We're going to have to save that for another podcast. But ultimately here, where can our viewers reach you?
So you can find, if you're interested in talking about, we like to coin the term wellness. So similar to wellness, but from a financial aspect. So innovationwealth.ca is our website. All of our contact information is there. We're also on Instagram. We do we're trying to make financial advice simple and funny. It can be intimidating, just like you had a great post about the gym being intimidating. Finance is intimidating. So give us a follow on Instagram at Innovation Wealth, and can't wait to talk to you more about all of this.
Awesome. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. My brain's already going a mile a minute of the different things that we could elaborate into. So awesome. So you've seen it, you've heard it there on how you can reach out to Innovation Wealth and give them a follow. If you're looking at the finance side of things, and you know how to follow me at PitFitsAsk. If you're looking for the fitness side of things, and I'm looking forward to the future here. So awesome.